I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Pretty certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
It's the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right. Well, so I'm gonna fight. You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao mocked Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford, saying he feels sorry for the fans because this is not the kind of fight boxing deserves. Pacquiao stressed that the matchup would be dull, nothing more than an exhibition, and reminded everyone that Floyd has been retired for years without taking on a serious fight, which makes the entire idea meaningless.
The fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a fashion show.
Manny Pacquiao did not hold back when criticizing Floyd Mayweather, admitting he feels pity for the retired champion because his focus seems to be driven entirely by money. According to Pacquiao, Mayweather's return has nothing to do with legacy or the true spirit of the sport, but rather with squeezing more cash out of exhibition events. He said a fight with Terence Crawford would not be about competition but about greed, stripping boxing of its essence and turning it into a business act where fighters parade around like models on a runway instead of warriors inside the ring.
At the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, and everything like that. I'm pretty with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believes God.
Yeah, I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The shocking announcement that Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson will face each other in 2026 sent waves through the boxing world. Experts were quick to note that this is not a battle between fighters in their prime, but an entertainment spectacle designed to generate revenue. The fight is being promoted as a warm-up for Mayweather before a possible showdown with Terence Crawford later that year. Analysts say both events are built around money, with massive pay-per-view sales expected. Tyson still holds legendary status, while Floyd's brand remains powerful, ensuring worldwide media attention regardless of the lack of true sporting value.
Broadcast for Jake and Tyson and some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules. Exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting a... Forget all that. These things can get figured out. The fine details. The fact that it was announced... Why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You lob it out there as a way to pull the public, and then make an adjustment.
You don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero, after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has always spoken with deep respect for Manny Pacquiao, calling his career unmatched in boxing history. The Filipino legend captured titles in multiple weight classes, often defeating bigger opponents and pulling off victories against the odds. Crawford admitted that Pacquiao's success was not just historic but nearly impossible to repeat, as he achieved greatness in an era where he took on challenges few others would have dared to face.
Shocked the world, not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Madrimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, and 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
The idea of Terence Crawford taking on David Benavidez has become one of the hottest topics among fans. Benavidez is widely seen as one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport, with size, youth, and relentless aggression on his side. Many believe this matchup would push Crawford to limits he has never been tested at before. However, with no official announcement, the debate remains only speculation. Still, the buzz shows how hungry fans are for meaningful, high-risk fights that go beyond exhibitions and celebrity-driven spectacles.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, I mean, like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Man, like, I mean, ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up?
That's shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark, you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's that. To me, it don't make sense. But that's
really
what.
monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Get a line of suits, get your money. Get your way, get the easy money. You ain't gotta sweat no more. Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. He's paved the career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's because when a guy see himself up here and is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. Not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you can get fucked up. I'm telling you, you don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get fucked up. I seen it happen.
Trainer Greg Hackett spoke with admiration when reflecting on Terence Crawford's stunning victory over Canelo Alvarez. He described Canelo as the shark of boxing, a figure of dominance who ruled the sport with strength and skill for years. Hackett said the fact that Crawford not only faced Canelo but also dismantled him proves a shift in boxing's power. By beating the man once thought untouchable, Crawford has become the new predator in the waters, the fighter everyone else must fear. Hackett's words raise an important question. If Crawford could conquer the toughest challenge of his generation, then who is truly left to test him? Fans now wonder whether he will continue to fight long enough to face those challenges or retire at the peak of his
he's not gonna, but Crawford didn't do that. He wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd, but Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. He closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think Sport of Boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah,
Manny,
did.
Experts largely agree that Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez was the defining moment of his career and silenced all debate about his place in history. Even before this fight, Crawford had already proven himself with his flawless performance against Errol Spence, where he showed complete control and silenced those who doubted his opposition. But taking down Canelo carried an even greater weight, since Canelo was long regarded as one of boxing's strongest pound-for-pound champions, a man who reigned across multiple divisions and consistently faced bigger, stronger rivals. Crawford didn't just meet that challenge. He dismantled him in a way few thought possible. By doing so, he proved his brilliance goes far beyond a single weight class or style of opponent. He displayed adaptability, technical mastery, and mental toughness at the highest level, leaving almost no doubt that he has conquered every challenge ever placed in front of him.
Matchup between Prime Mayweather and Prime Crawford, I've tended to lean slightly towards Mayweather. But after that performance there against Canelo, not just the fact he won, the manner in which he won, I've changed my mind. I would now lean towards Prime Crawford over Mayweather. And the reason I say this is because of the expert way in which Terence Crawford mixed offensive in the pocket boxing with defensive on the move boxing. Not running, save for maybe a round or two. No, just moving nicely. Because if there's one area of Floyd Mayweather's game that was underdeveloped, it's his front foot game. Whenever Mayweather was forced to walk an opponent down, what he did was actually very basic. He would hold his hands up and he would walk forward throwing straight right hands. Okay, they were accurate straight right hands. They were well-timed straight right hands. But there wasn't a whole heap of head movement. There wasn't a whole heap of creative or dynamic footwork, coming forward, walking somebody down. No, it was very, very basic stuff. And I don't think an approach that basic would have worked against, let's say, a Tommy Hearns, who was 6'1", 6'2", 78-inch reach, massive puncher, good hand speed. So I always thought that a prime Tommy Hearns would beat prime Mayweather, because I can't see Mayweather doing what Ray Leonard did, grabbing the bull by the horns and taking it to Tommy Hearns. Can't see him doing that. And if he did try and do it, he's going to get clipped. Tommy Hearns hit so hard, that guard from Mayweather wouldn't be enough, in my opinion. And I never saw Mayweather on the front foot moving his head a lot. When he's in the middle of the ring or on the back foot, when he's being defensive, yeah, that's when he moves his head. The famous Philly shell defense, the shoulder roll and all that. But coming forward, no, it's a lot more basic. Go watch Mayweather's old fights, you'll see what I'm talking about. Whenever he's forced to come forward, it's basic stuff. And so, after watching Crawford's performance against Canelo, I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe Crawford employs similar tactics if he fights a prime Mayweather.
The debate over Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather has become one of the most fascinating conversations in modern boxing. Many argue that Mayweather's defensive genius, razor-sharp timing, and unmatched ring IQ would have given him the edge had they fought in their primes. Floyd mastered the art of neutralizing opponents, controlling the pace, and forcing elite fighters into uncomfortable situations, with his undefeated record serving as proof of his ability to adapt to any style. Yet others believe Crawford's versatility, power, and calmness under pressure would have made him Mayweather's toughest rival. His seamless stance switching, intelligent pressure, and killer instinct could have forced Floyd into exchanges he usually avoided. This comparison highlights how both men embody greatness in different ways. Mayweather defined by precision and control, Crawford by aggression and adaptability. The debate may never be answered, but it shows the immense respect both fighters command across generations.
Sheik said, deliver the job, Terence Crawford. The fight is big, show me.
Saturday, deliver the job.
Y'all missed the most important part. It's when he said, don't retire.
No retire.
This is what you guys are missing. Turkey Al-Sheikh was trying to say, return the favor.
You must return it. Yeah.
Bud interrupted him by saying the job ain't, which prompted Turkey Al-Sheikh to say, yeah, deliver the job. But that's not what he was on. He was on the first part, return the favor. But Turkey, in the second talk, he goes back to Bud and he says, and don't retire.
No retire.
That's what Turkey meant when he was trying to say, return the favor. I did this for you, got this big fight, but don't retire. Return the favor.
Wraps up today's video, so make sure you stay tuned for more updates. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you never miss what's coming next.